Have everyone take your seat, please. We're gonna get started. Everyone can take your seat, please. We're gonna get started. All right, everyone, we're gonna get started.
Oh, yeah. I guess there's no.
All right, good morning, everyone. Okay, no. She's an achiever in the valuation space. She has vision. And the why is for a woman who embodies the qualities of excellence in this industry. This award is named after Edie Yeomans. And so for those of you who had an opportunity to know her, you know that she tirelessly pursued excellence in valuation. So this award is named for Edie. Now, this year was a special year in the sense that we received, as we always do, a remarkably impressive slate of nominees. Just an incredible group of women. And that's a good problem to have. But after careful deliberation using our blind scoring process, I am thrilled beyond measure to introduce you all to this year's Savvy Award winner, Cindy Charleston Rosenberg. So why Cindy? Well, again, I'm so glad you asked. There's so many reasons. And so let me give you a little bit of why Cindy. Cindy Charleston Rosenberg is the founder and former president of Art Appraisal Firm, a national company specializing in fine art valuation. With over 25 years of leadership in the appraisal field, she has served as the president of the International Society of Appraisers and contributed extensively to this industry as committee chairs and champion of ethics and as a mentor. This foundation has certainly benefited from Cindy's commitment to service. How do you ask? Well, Cindy has played a key role in uniting major appraisal organizations to support the foundation's credentialing standards. She has also served as a trustee and chaired multiple committees for the foundation. A recognized expert, witness, and frequent presenter, Cindy has earned national awards for her thought leadership and her service to our valuation industry. In November 2024, after this impressive career, Cindy retired from the appraisal practice to dedicate herself fully to peace and social justice activism, focusing on economic and social equality, advocacy, and focusing on marginalized community and grassroots change. To fully understand her vast impact to this industry, Cindy received 5 separate nominations for the SAG Award. Absolutely remarkable. And so here are some of the glowing recommendations from her nominators. One remarked that Cindy demonstrates a passion for the appraisal industry, which is evident in her dedication to mentoring other appraisers, and I may add non-appraisers like me. She serves as a generous mentor to both newcomers and seasoned members, consistently exhibiting patience and kindness when providing guidance. She is a tireless advocate for sound methodology and ethical practices through her contributions to the Appraisal Foundation and her community. She has advanced knowledge of the professionalism within this industry, benefiting both organizations and the broader profession. And one additional nominator remarked that she is dedicated to excellence, and continuing education in the appraisal profession, and committed to helping colleagues achieve a high level of professionalism. She has worked tirelessly in numerous volunteer capacities to advance the appraisal industry. So those are some of the comments that we received from those who took the time to nominate Cindy for her impressive career. So Cindy, first
I'm
off,
tired.
I would be too after all of that. First off, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and the committee was just completely blown away by the body of information submitted in your 5 nominations and all of the incredible things that you've accomplished in your career. You've really advanced this profession in a significant way. So thank you for that. And to kick things off, I'd like to ask you, what drew you to the appraisal profession?
So it's a tracking story. So Joanna, first to everybody and to the people who nominated me, who I don't know who they are, but you really think when you're doing work that you're driven from the heart to do, that nobody's really watching. I'm very touched and gratified to be receiving this honor, and I thank everybody from the bottom of my heart.
We thank you for your service.
So what drew me to the appraisal profession was I had a gallery that I ran and owned and operated. And one day, a qualified appraiser, I used to write like 1-sheet appraisals for my collectors. And one day, a qualified appraiser came in, who I knew very well, and she said, "Cindy, what is this?" And I said, "That's my appraisal." And I go, "Okay, this is not an appraisal. You need to go to school, take classes, pass tests, get a mentor, and then you can write appraisals." All right, you're really exposing yourself and your clients. So, personal property appraisers have a unique challenge because we don't have a regulatory system. Our professional organizations that are partners with the foundation implement our qualification criteria, which mirrors real property criteria. It's not very well known. So anyway, the insurance companies will still accept an interested appraisal that's not qualified. We still have that today. That's still something that we're challenged with. But I didn't want to be doing something wrong. So I was talking to a colleague, and he said, "Oh, geez, I don't know. You're kind of old, and I know this was 25 years ago. I know somebody who took the test 5 times and failed." And so essentially that was the tipping point. I became an appraiser because a colleague told me I wasn't smart enough to do it. I'm looking at Frank, he says, yeah, that tracks.
Listen, I love that. What better motivation than to show him he's wrong? So, absolutely. So what makes you passionate about giving back? Because so much of what we read in those submissions dealt with your service to your community, to your profession. So both personally and professionally, you obviously are committed to service and to giving back. So tell us what makes you passionate about giving back, and what makes you passionate about advancing the role of women in the appraisal profession.
So selfishly, there's nothing that's more rewarding than seeing somebody we believe in blossom and thrive. So, I mean, that's kind of a selfish motivation. But really, the incredible mentorship that I received was so important to my own development. And you know, it's interesting. People who study human nature tell us that human nature is incredibly unpredictable. Okay, really hard to figure out how people are going to respond. But if there's one predictor that's reliable that you can count on, it's reciprocity. And I believe this. I believe this about human beings. I think that people want to give back. And if you doubt this, think about every time you're invited to a wedding, what's the first thing you ask yourself? What did they give me? Right? So the drive to give back, to reciprocate what I received, that's really the passion. And also getting to see people succeed and you can feel that you were somehow a small part of it.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. So what do you see for the future of women in this profession?
So I'm really optimistic. Okay. So I'm gonna just say, like, look at, let's take the legal profession, for instance. I think that representation is so important. When I graduated high school 52 years ago in 1973, just take a guess, somebody just shout it out. What percentage of women who were of attorneys who were women, what percentage do you think? 5%. So when I graduated from high school, it never occurred to me that I could be an attorney. I didn't know any attorneys who were women. And I always say, if Sandra Day O'Connor or Ruth Bader Ginsburg had come to speak at my high school or college, I would have been a civil rights attorney. That number went up very slowly. By 1980, we were at about 34%. Today, 51% of the incoming law students in America are women, which is an exact reflection of America's, how America looks. So I'm optimistic, not just for women, but for anyone who's a member of an underrepresented community, that we can do extraordinary things. So I'm very optimistic.
I love that. I often say, if you can see it, you can be it, right? And so that commitment to the profession and the personal commitment to community is so important, because you never know whose life you're gonna touch. Yeah, that's awesome.
And the more that women see other women appraising, they're gonna say, I can do that.
Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, Miss Cindy. So what can we as a profession do to encourage more women to join this profession?
Well, I think the first thing is, like I just said, representation. I think, I don't know if SMED's in the room, but some of the things the foundation's doing right now, SMED just going to the historically Black universities, colleges in Atlanta, just having people see that this is something that I can do. Somebody who looks like me did it. So I think that's one of the things that we can do to help women. I think the other thing that we can do is just create safe and inclusive environments. And I think, you know, look, I'm not an expert in diversity and inclusion, but I do know my own lived experience, that the more I see other people who look like me doing something, the more I think it's possible. So I think we can do that. The other thing we could do is invest in leadership training for women who are already in the profession.
Well, that's perfect segue to my next question, because, I do want to ask, getting them to enter the profession is one thing, right? Keeping them is another. My life as a former regulator, I would see people, get into the real estate business because they can make a lot of money and they're going to sell houses. And then inevitably the numbers would drop off dramatically after that first licensing cycle, right? So you only have a short window of time to secure their interest in the profession. So what can we do better once we convince them to join, to secure their interest in the profession? In those early years, what could someone have done to help make your interest in the profession all the more solid?
The mentorship piece, I think, is huge. Just knowing that there's someone in your corner, someone you can call. Again, creating an inclusive environment. And, it's my belief, and again, I'm not an expert on this, but it's my belief that we're looking at structural issues. Okay, and again, not just for women, but for anybody who's a member of an underrepresented community. We have to look at what the structure is, what's standing in the way. Can we just, we're doing some of it, right? We're doing scholarships, we're doing alternative supervisory models. We're doing things that have traditionally in the past discouraged people from advancing and staying in. So I think we just have to be really intentional about deconstructing the things that are in the way, one brick at a time. And this is one of my favorite stories. It can be very overwhelming. And I think especially in this environment where tapping into our mutual humanity, is a little bit challenging. And the task can feel overwhelming for sure. But one of my favorite parables is the parable of the boy and the starfish. Does anybody know this? Yeah. Shaking yes. So there's a huge storm and thousands of starfish wash up on the beach. A little boy's walking with his mother. And his mother goes, "Oh, it's a shame. Every one of these starfish is going to die. They can't live out of water." And the boy starts frantically throwing starfish back in the ocean. And, an hour goes by and he's completely exhausted and he's still at it. An old man comes by and he says, "What are you doing? You can't save them all. What you're doing doesn't matter." And the kid says, "It's going to matter to this one." And it always chokes me up a little bit because, if you're feeling the task is enormous, look at the micro, not the macro. I think that's one thing that I've really learned. Look at what the progress that we're making today. Now, when I joined the foundation 10 years ago, I'm looking around today at this room and we look a lot more like America today than we did 10 years ago. So I think we have to hold on to those victories.
I love that. And you said something that stuck out. Our mutual humanity, right? That's such an important phrase, and I think I'll borrow that if that's okay with you.
Love it.
Our mutual humanity. I love that, Cindy. Well, listen, before we open this up for audience questions, and I'm sure many of you do have questions for Cindy, I want to just take a moment to introduce to the room and to those of you online last year's Savvy Award winner, Rachel Beam, because thank you for joining us today, Rachel.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And
So
a big congratulations.
yes. So we have a tradition here of what we call passing of the glasses. So for those of you who don't know, our award is in the shape of glasses because, as I mentioned earlier, this award is named after Edie Yeomans. And in addition to being known for advancing excellence in the profession, she's also known for her very fun, colorful eyewear, thus my spectacle choice for And so, I want to, take the time now to make sure that we introduce Rachel and have these, nice women pass the glasses. But before we do that, Rachel, since you are here, can you share a little bit with us about what, receiving the Savvy Award has meant for you and your journey, since you have been here, since you were here last with us last year?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. Well, first of all, just to be included in the conversation for that Savvy Award and among these women that have dedicated themselves to the industry is an honor, right? So that's such an honor to be just included in that conversation. When I think about the Savvy Award, I think about, the intention of it, right? To celebrate excellence. As you hear us keep saying, right? Excellence in leadership, excellence in innovation and progress, commitment. My goodness, when you talk about the commitment that you have had through your career, right? And really promoting women in the industry. It's such an important award for us, and it's an honor to be part of it.
Well, the honor is all ours. So thank you so much, Rachel. Now it is time for the official passing of the glasses.
Right.
So Rachel, if you will, thank you very much. Hold up the glasses for our audience to see. These are our very fun Edie Yeoman's type glasses. And Cindy, we are going to have you receive those glasses. And each year, just so you all know, each year, am I supposed to come on? Thank you for that Kodak moment. And Cindy is going to affix her charm to the glasses. So each year, as we present the Savvy Award, our goal is to have a charm added. So eventually it will be full. So it's our fun way of making sure that we are memorializing all of the wonderful women who received our Savvy Award. So, if you don't mind, audience, will you just give these two incredible women? All right, so I mentioned audience questions. If you would please just raise your hand when you have a question and make sure you state your name and the organization that you are here representing, when you ask your question. And so I'm gonna go here and then I'll come back to you. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Josh Wallet with Wallet Solutions, and I've always loved that starfish story. In our house, we talk about the power of one, right? The power of one, and so, but we heard the bio and they, kind of read it beforehand as well. So can you share with us just maybe a little bit about what type of activism you are involved in, or that you hope to get involved in? Maybe plant some seeds of inspiration, with what you're spending your time on and your focus on.
Sure, Josh. Thanks for the question. So I founded and I'm helping to run on a volunteer basis a local group of organization called Indivisible. And don't believe some of the negative things you said. We are a pacifist movement, essentially dedicated to social justice. And our group right now is focused on, our local group is focused on really a very uniting. We're looking for things that will unite everybody, no matter where you are in the political spectrum. So it's indivisible as in one nation, indivisible. And what we are focusing on right now pretty strongly is corruption in politics in America. In Pennsylvania, my home state, we're one of only 3 states where it's perfectly legal to bribe your state representative. And there's no limit on it. So this feels like something that everyone could get behind. And it's in the service of our entire community. So that's one of the things that we're working on. The other major issue that we're working on is supporting our immigrant community and other vulnerable communities, the gay community, communities that are particularly vulnerable at this time in history. Thank you for the question.
Shared humanity, shared humanity. Yes, sir.
My question is just, could you share with us an interesting and notable race situation that you had in your career that kind of sticks out?
You know, I'm from Mediterranean people. It's kind of hard for me to tell a short story.
You got the floor.
So the most challenging, it's funny, I was just telling my husband, my son this story last night, so. But I got a call from a very important gallery. It's probably my most important client in New York Gallery, sent me a lot of work. And I get a call one day and he says, I'm sending this client to you. He's very important to us. You better make sure he feels important to you. And I'm like, okay, no pressure there. So I called the client. He has, I don't know if everybody's familiar with the portrait of George Washington on the dollar bill. The artist who painted that, it's called the Athenaeum portrait, was Gilbert Stuart. He said, I have 4 paintings of George Washington by Gilbert Stuart, and they're all exactly the same. It'll be so easy to appraise them. So in those days, portraits of Gilbert Stuart were, you know, head and shoulders portraits bringing about $600,000-700,000 routine. So I figured, okay, this will be a piece of cake. What's your fee going to be? $1,200 to go to New York, nonetheless. I get there, you know, Park Avenue, the whole bit. I'm completely intimidated. I walk in, and there are 4 absolutely iconic portraits of Washington by Stuart, for which there are absolutely no comparative data. I mean, one guy's, you know, one is the New York Library example, the full figure with all the iconography, the globe and the eagle and all of that. I mean, there's nothing to look at. One was an example from one that he did about 150 portraits of Washington. The first year that he did it, 1797, he did a very different kind of portrait where Washington was facing the other way. He was wearing a pair of uncomfortable wooden teeth, and he looked completely different from the other 140 portraits. Only 17 of them are known to exist. The other 16 were in private collections, never been sold. So this was really challenging, and I had an absolute heart attack over it. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, you know, why did my grandparents come here from Russia? I could be picking potatoes right now. A job I'm thoroughly qualified for. And I just didn't know what to do. And then I just started deconstructing it and saying, okay, what don't I know about this? And who knows more about it than I do? And it was about a 3-month project. So at the end, now, given that this gallery that really was my bread and butter has sent me this job, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna stick to my $1,200 fee. And he gets my appraisal and he calls me, and by the way, my husband says this guy had a reputation for being just horrible, suing everybody, you know, he's very well-known billionaire. So I'm like, this is really a very scary thing. So after 3 months of work to really feel that I've buttoned this down, my charts had charts, you know, this, I send him the appraisal and the bill for $1,200. And he calls me and he leaves this message and he says, Cindy, I'm so unhappy. So of course my heart just falls. Hey, I dedicated 3 months of my life to getting this right. He said, I have your book and I'm going to teach you. Has nobody ever taught you how you should bill? I'm going to send you a check for what you should have billed me. And our whole family had a pool on what it was going to be. And, you know, to teach you, and if you don't cash the check, I'm going to send you a box of cash. That was probably my most fun and memorable assignment.
What you should do.
Anybody else? Questions?
The artists wanna know what would that be.
My bill was $1,200. I don't know if I should disclose. It was a lot more.
He did say box of pictures.
So I called the gallery, said, I don't know what to do. And the owner of the gallery said, cash the check.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it actually was it would have been fair. If I had understood what the assignment was before I'd gone in, you know, he sent me about what I would have sent him, so it was not stupid.
Yes,
So, Lee Lester of the Board of Trustees, Cindy.
of all the accolades, if you had to pick what you want your legacy to be, what would that be? That's a hard question. I guess that what I did mattered, that it helped somebody. And that the people that I love felt supported by me. How about you? What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, I have to think about that. Yeah, that you made a difference. So that's the end of the day.
That's what we're here for.
That's wonderful. All right, anybody else brave enough to ask a question since then you might turn it around on you?
Of course.
I don't have a question, but I can help with that legacy thing. But I don't know if you remember this, but a few years ago, I was serving as the chair of the Appraisal Foundation Advisory Council, and I had the unbridled joy of coming to one of these meetings and giving a report. And I was sitting at the bar thinking, just like many of us do, thinking, I don't belong here. I'm from some middle of nowhere, West Virginia. It really cares what some hick from West Virginia has to say. And I said, I don't even know what I'm doing here. There's no way that what I do is gonna make a difference. And you told me I was full of crap. There's something nicer than that. And I'm here as an incoming member of the Board of Trustees.
It's so sweet and very meaningful to me. I want to share something with you. One of my mentors, and I'd like to actually say this, I hope some of my mentors might be listening here. I feel compelled to call them out. Judy Martin, Todd Siggety, I'm counting, but I want to be sure I don't forget anybody. Vernon Martin, Paul Grass, Bill Bunch. May he rest in peace. What Bill Bunch taught me, I would say to him, Bill, I have such imposter syndrome. And raise your hand if you have imposter syndrome. I'd love to see that. Right? Bill said to me, be afraid of the person who doesn't have imposter syndrome. Be afraid of that person, because the most dangerous person in any profession is the one who doesn't know what they don't know. So yeah, you were in good company. I recognized it. I was a kindred soul, and I guess everybody else in this room is too.
I raised my hand twice because my imposter has imposter syndrome. Oh, insecurity, who's next? Who's next?
Pasta stamping up. No, in the midst of everything, Bilal Sharif, Board of Trustees, not an appraiser, but like I said, I'm here. In the midst of everything you're doing, the social injustice and all of that, I know you retired, but you mentioned the impact of getting into the HBCUs, the things of that nature. Do you have time to inspire or do anything, with that impact committees? I know they're gonna be doing a lot.
Sure, absolutely.
Cool.
I would love to do that. I believe it really matters. And there's one other thing I'd like to add. I think that another thing we can do, just occurred to me, to support women and any underrepresented community is to amplify. We're all statisticians, the data's in. Diverse teams are more successful. And there's been a number of studies. They're more profitable, they're more successful. One study, University of North Carolina, diverse teams are 87% more likely to make good business decisions. 87%. I think that, I'm gonna call out my son Max and embarrass him, not the first time. When he came back, he's an environmental sustainability expert. And when he came back from grad school, he said, Mom, honor's not gonna save our planet. We've got to make the business case for sustainable development. And that's what he does professionally. I think we need to make the business case more for diversity in general, because it's not equivocal. It's just clearly there. And if you look at just profitability, diverse teams are 35% more likely to be profitable. And the more diverse your team is, the more like the statistics go up. So, Yeah, and it makes perfect sense because, you used to say one head can't solve the problem two heads can solve. One path of life experience and background can't solve the problem that 12 people coming from different perspectives and backgrounds can solve, with a unique. And I do think that women have some unique challenges, but the challenges are very similar.
Right.
Yeah, so I think let's make the business case for diversity.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, coming from the real estate background, we hear all the time, stop using the word affordable housing because people will shut down. Use the phrase workforce housing because everybody can relate to that, right? So a lot of times you're right. Talking about things from a particular perspective can make all the difference. So I love that, making the business case for diversity. That's great. Who's next? Anybody? Okay, well, I think everybody's ready for lunch, I think. So listen, we are then going to reach the end of our program here today. And before we do, I just want to say, from a personal perspective, talked about a lot about impact, Cindy, it's funny, she talked about the lawyer thing. My daughter came to this last year with me, and she was so fascinated by Cindy's work, what she does, and as much as I would like for her to be impressed by the fact that her mother's a lawyer, she is not. Even a little bit. But in my house, Cindy, you have made medicine because Hannah is inspired by what you do, right? And so thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing my daughter that there are pathways available to her for this industry, because she is not gonna be a lawyer and she's not gonna be a real estate broker. So thank you for that. Yes. All right, so listen, I want to thank you all, whether it's online or in person, for joining us today to celebrate the excellence of women in the valuation space. We have been truly inspired by our present winner and our previous winner. So let's give Rachel and Cindy another. Also want to thank the foundation staff for bringing this event together and making it possible for us to display this type of excellence in the valuation space. So with that, you all have a wonderful rest of the conference and go eat.
What we changed to, it's just that.